A recent symposium at the Gordon Institute of Business Science described Brian Steinhobel as a man who has lived and worked in a world with celebrity designers and race car drivers from Versace to Nigel Mansell. He didn't have any style, he had a moustache. Brian's life revolves around super creativity and innovation. At any one time, he's running 50 projects around the globe. This is Tonight. I'm Bruce Whitfield. And tonight, we're very lucky to be joined by this extraordinary innovator. You've been doing this all your life. You started, your website says, with a bread knife and a piece of foam before you even went to school, I think.
I was lucky to find my vocation very early, Bruce. When I was 8 years old, we had a big foam factory around the corner, and I cut quite a comfortable chair out of foam. So I was unwittingly doing my future profession, and I've been doing that since then. I've had my company professionally for 35 years now. It's the 35th year of my company's existence.
Does the chair still exist?
It does actually. I was trying to locate it the other day. I do know the guys got it. We're trying to just do a bit of history on our design. It's got a long history now.
What makes design? I mean, South Africa isn't exactly the global epicenter of great design, yet you've built a business as a South African, a global business around design.
Now we're a bit stupid here. We dig good raw materials out the ground, we export them and we import them at 100 times the cost. So that's not a very clever business model that we're running in this country. No. And I'm trying to bring it to the attention of the government and the powers that be, because design, literally, without being too bravado, could save Africa's woes. I mean, if you look at Korea, that was a dot on the map not that long ago, and now they're dominating the world.
I mean, Steve Jobs didn't do anything incredible other than he redesigned what already existed, but he did it brilliantly.
Yeah. Well, I was just about to say, Steve Jobs is another good example of the biggest company in the world, the most successful, in terms of built on design. So, design is a very broad word. It's a very big word, and it encompasses a bit too many things, quite frankly. And the part that I'm involved with is industrial design, which is an unfortunate word in its own self as well.
But you do practical
product
stuff.
Development is a better term, where I develop products within different categories of mining, medical, children's toys, aerospace, weapons, and right across the board. Even sex toys come across our table, which someone has to design and terrible research to have to do.
I suppose somebody has to do the hard work.
Tough day at the office.
Yeah. but it's an extraordinary array, isn't it? I mean, one also would get the sense that one would need to focus. Do you suffer from ADD?
I've been accused of that, but I think it's... I don't think I do have actually ADD, but the thing is you have to hop quite fast through things, and it's the nature of the beast. But certainly I don't have to be a jack of all trades. I'll tell you the secret that lies there. I have to be a master of technology and the machine, in terms of the machinery that makes something, and the material it's made out of, and form and shape. So it's a synthesis of art, business and technology, if you think of it. So I don't have to be a weapons complete expert to design a very good weapon. I've got to know...
Have you designed a weapon?
Many, and we were involved with the G6 cannon back in the day, and I get raised eyebrows when design weapons. The police have weapons to keep our safety, and armies actually keep us safe.
And weapons can be used as tools of aggression.
Exactly. And drones are something we're involved with currently.
Now, drones are interesting, isn't it? Because I mean, drones are currently used as sort of high-level weaponry. They're being used all over the world right now. The United States are the masters of the drone right now. Have you been involved in government projects when it comes to drones, or just the friendly ones that hover above sports events?
Well, the fact of the matter is we're not going to escape drones. Drones and another subject, body tech, human body electronics and body tech. Those are two very big feature articles in our future lives. Phones will disappear into our bodies and onto our bodies.
Terrifying.
And that's a short span. You're talking quite a short time when that's happening.
But how do you upgrade? Anyway, that's another story.
Facelift.
Yes.
But from a drone point of view, from a toy drone to a hobbyist to very advanced military attack drones, they're already out there. There's courier companies delivering by drone in a few continents.
Amazon.com has just got a license to test their deliveries by drone. I mean, that's a fairly recent development.
It makes sense. Our infamous electrical company in this country, I believe they inspect their lines with Bell jet ranges, where a drone can do that at a fraction of the cost, just for example.
Yeah, so they're not big on saving money, so don't worry.
Well, clearly. But certainly we interested in developing a chassis for across-the-board drones. So there's agricultural use, there's air-sea rescue. there's not a subject in our or a category of our life, I don't think that's going to be touched quite deeply by drones into the future.
But what's so interesting about design, especially industrial design, is how there are so many cross disciplines. So much technology is developed for military purposes, and then gets a civilian application as well.
There you hit it on the button. In fact, being a South African operating fund, primarily from South Africa, although I've averaged probably 30 countries a year and more over my 35-year professional life of design. I used to consider it a bit of a handbrake being down here out of the mainstream, because we had to do a bit of everything to survive. But it became the biggest asset that we've got, that we're not scared and we're not intimidated by having to take on just about any subject that comes our way. And so it's general industrial design, and there we have a high degree of technology transfer in terms of pollinating technologies. So we have been responsible for many firsts in the world. We were many years ago doing the first aluminium desk. We've done advanced lawnmowers in polymer, plastic.
But are polymers the future? I mean, you talk to the guys, for example, at Sappi, and they're creating microfiber technology. I forget exactly what it is, but using cellulose
Yes.
to create new products. 3D printing is supposed to be this great way of the future. Is it?
Oh, there's a good book, Singularity is Near. It talks about convergence, and it's basically convergence. So there won't be one favorite material. They have different uses, and as the demand comes up, we're using, for example, for lightweighting, you injection mold magnesium with keranite coating, which is fancy words for a material that's 1/10 the weight of steel, yet has the same strength as steel, yield strength and performance. So you can do wonderful things, and the whole world's getting lighter and more nimble, and certainly drones need to be as light as possible. So the convergence of these materials, and quite frankly, as a designer, you are a conductor of a band, and you're conducting an orchestra of multifaceted elements and concurrent engineering that has to happen, and materials is one of them. So as a good designer, you hope to have a very good bouquet of immediate knowledge in applying the word appropriate is very important, because it's got to be the appropriate material to its function.
But you've got 50 projects running at any one time. How do you keep all of those balls up in the air?
They move at different speeds. You have conceptual stages going into varying degrees of prototyping, and hence the rapid prototyping, we call it, which is the printing, and there's a multitude of different printers. Incidentally, we started that printing, we pioneered it in this country 28 years ago. It's sort of come out the closet more recently, and there's many forms of it. So it's like the word
What did you print 28 years ago?
Oh, we printed actually the blue cop car lights you see on all the cars, with which I'm very sad I didn't get a royalty on that project, because they've been on ambulances and the AA cars for 3 decades now. And
that was print rather than mold?
Our original aerodynamic tests and the configuration that you use to put things together, we tested. That was one of the early printed models back in the day.
Now, are you a South African-based ideas factory, but we don't manufacture and distribute and do stuff here? That's one of the great problems. I mean, industry is shot.
Yeah, from my point of view, yes. My feeling is that I can help South Africa much better by being out of South Africa, because you've got a lot of restrictions here in terms of technological accessibility. And if I'm quite strongly based in Austria and Shanghai, where obviously Shanghai for mass production, Austria for high technology, and Germany. And there we develop products that, being a global village, we manufacture in the appropriate region. And certainly some of the stuff comes back here.
But very little is being made here.
Yes, sadly, our tooling industry hasn't been developed. Design itself is very misunderstood in terms of the understanding of what design is and the power of design, and when you embrace it, like the Steve Jobs of the world, what it can actually do.
What's the one thing you've designed you're most proud of?
Well, I would think my last design I would like to be most proud of, because I've got to be proud of all of them, and they're all like children, and they do have a love affair with designs. But that's a very difficult question, Bruce. I would say there's exciting ones, there's challenging ones, but I'd say a desk system we did 12 years ago, which has done very well over the years, a Scala desk system. Yeah, which was, it posed a lot of challenge, but just done financially very well. Scala desk, it's called. And those type of things, the strangest things give you a lot of fulfillment in design.
But also you see the longevity of design then, don't you? I mean, some of the great classics of the 1950s, the Bauhaus movement, all of that sort of stuff, some of those designs are still being mimicked and copied today by the likes of IKEA.
My favourite you have in your entrance here, the Pantone, Werner Pantone chair.
Yes.
That was 1952 by Werner Pantone, beautiful bit of classic serene design. And there's a lovely German word called Zeitlos, which is timeless. So the more timeless you can get into a product, the longer selling it will have. In fashion is a bad word for design because it goes out of fashion quickly.
What was it like working with Versace? I mean, he was shot, being killed in London, 15 years ago?
Oh, he was stabbed in South Beach, Miami, at his house.
Well, that's right, that's right.
Yeah, and I was there with him 3 months before there. And he was a wonderfully cool person. He was, like I'd like to think most designers are, you have to have a deep insight into human nature and intuitiveness of human beings. And he was a really wonderful person, but sadly asked on his steps there in South Beach, Miami.
Nigel Mansell, under that moustache, is there a creative genius lurking?
Well, Nigel Mansell I found to be a wonderful character. He stayed at my house for a week years ago at Peakenwood, actually, playing golf. And my work's taken me into a little bit of the Formula One world, well, quite deeply over the years. So I've had a great privilege of meeting people like him, and I found him to be not the whinger that he was known for in the press. He was just a very nice person and very kind person.
But Formula One is, I mean, it's the mastery of design, isn't it? I mean, if you look at the evolution of Formula One and what the components are in Formula One motor cars and the way in which they've evolved in even the last 10 years.
Yeah, that's exactly, luckily my mother worked at the 9 Hour in Kyalami when I was 5 years old, and I'm a petrol head by birth. And I've always had an extreme draw to motorsport. And it does drive design. Technology drive design. There's a push and a pull. And we pay attention a lot to motorsport technology. There's carbon fibers and all the exotic materials. And we have become, hopefully, masters at the various manipulation of materials, because you're putting materials together in a shape to make a product that's useful for humankind. And hopefully safer and better, and makes life easier and better for human beings. You know, that's our mission.
Brian Steinhobel, nice to see you. Thank you very much for coming in. Brian Steinhobel from Steinhobel Design, mostly in South Africa, but takes his ideas worldwide and manufactures many of those in parts of the world. 50 projects ongoing at any one time. Favorite design? A desk. Thank you for watching. There'll be more tonight, tomorrow. Till then, good night and goodbye.